I want to bring up a woman that I met 4 years ago, a little more than 4 years ago, in Baghdad. A woman who has taken her life and given it just over to helping the women of Iraq. She has founded the Organization of Women's Freedom in Iraq. She travels around the world bringing attention to what's happening to the women. She's built a safe house inside of Baghdad. She's one of the most courageous women I have ever met, and with one of the most powerful voices. May I introduce you to Yanar Mohammed.
We are shorter in Iraq, but it doesn't mean that our voices cannot reach everywhere. They try to prevent us from going over the media and from telling the outer world the real story, but thanks to our friends, our voices will still reach. And thanks to everybody who cares about the Iraq story. And then again, we are not just a story. 3,000 people killed on this side of the world. On our side, we lost count. It's more than 500,000, we know for sure. It's almost 1 to 200 for sure. And are we allowed to tell the story to the outer world that this was not the liberation of Iraq? I remember when I used to work in Iraq, Originally, I'm an architect, and I got my degree. I studied in Iraq. I went to university. I graduated. I worked. I got married. I got a house, and I got it all. And all of a sudden, we hear that somebody wants to liberate us. And what happens? After all these years, at this point, I cannot step out in the street looking like this. At this point, and I know this because I have founded an organization there. At this point, thousands of women have been trafficked inside and outside the country. Women who were some of the strongest in the Middle East are being sold to sexual slavery. At this point, women have no voice absolutely in Iraq. Maybe you have heard that we are represented in our parliament. But how many from that parliament represents me as a free woman? None. When they wrote us a constitution that turned Iraqi women into 10th-rate citizens, the US ambassador calls it the most democratic constitution in the Islamic world. And this is such a big lie. Well, my message to you today is that mothers on that part of the world are in agony. Our sons and our husbands have turned into victims first, and they are being turned into killers at this moment. They are holding out guns against each other for reasons that we were not aware of before this war. We got to know something called Sunni and Shiite, Arab, Kurdish. Like, the religious differences were never something that determined Iraqis to kill each other. It was never there before this liberation of Iraq. If any of your sons plan to join the army, tell them you are going to a place in the world to be the reason for the killing of hundreds of thousands of people. First, you are going to that country to turn the women into slaves. Second, and third, you are going to that country to start wars that will be endless. What happened in Iraq was not liberation by any standards. At this point, we have been turned into an Afghanistan under Taliban. On this day, the people and the mothers in this country should stand with us. Many of my friends don't know what to do with their sons there. because you can be exploded wherever you go. They cannot send them to schools, they cannot go to work. So what they are doing is that they have their bags trying to cross the border to somewhere where it's safe, and guess what? Nobody lets you. They tell you, why do you want to travel? So what has happened is that this liberation has turned Iraq into a big prison where you cannot stay alive, where your sons have been turned into killers and murderers, where women cannot live safely, step out in the street safely, or mind you, education and work. It's very hard to get there in the first place. I'm not saying this to make you guys feel guilty or girls feel guilty. There is the third alternative. And the third alternative, part of it, I see it in front of me. It's not the US military, no. It's not the Islamist fundamentalist government that they have set in place for us, no. It's this free alternative of the freedom-loving people of the world to support us inside Iraq. Why shouldn't we become the alternative in there? Why aren't we stronger? This is the question. I think you guys are doing a fine job raising our voices here, and we need to hear them higher and higher for the sake of people and mothers in Iraq. Please keep on doing what you are doing. Jody, Mimi, all of you, thank you very much. We really appreciate it on that part of the world. And the day will come when we will have, I don't know whether they're going to be crosses or how they're going to be shaped, but our people who have been killed will put symbols for them, and believe me, the number is very big. It shouldn't have been done in your names. Thank you very much for having me here.